The next myth is that hypnosis is sleep. It's another common misconception is that hypnosis is a form of sleep. While clients, of course, may feel deeply relaxed during hypnosis, they're actually in a heightened state of awareness and focus. They actually couldn't be any more awake. Five common misconceptions about hypnotherapy debunked. But before we get into those, let me just tell you that hypnosis is a beautiful state of mind. It's actually something that we all experience 70% of our lives. Often when I talk to people about hypnosis, they claim that they've never been hypnotized, which they believe. But when I explain about hypnosis, they realize that in fact, they've experienced it many different times in the form of self-hypnosis. I'll give you some examples. You could be driving your car from A to B, and at the end of the journey, you get out of the car and you've completely forgotten how you've done the journey. It's almost like you're on autopilot. Well, this is when your conscious mind stops and slows down, and your subconscious mind is wide awake and in control. So you're still in control, but you're focusing on lots of different thoughts that are in your mind, bouncing from one to the other, but still able to drive. Now, this is a form of self-hypnosis. In all honesty, it's a useless form of self-hypnosis because you're not using it for anything in particular. You could be reading a book, pages, and you know you've read every single word, but then you stop and realize that you haven't taken any of it in because you're in a state of hypnosis again. Again, it's a useless form of self-hypnosis, but nevertheless, just by listening to these examples, you realize now that you have been hypnotized. One of my favorites is when you're doing something and you're focused on something, perhaps in the lounge or the living room or the bedroom or the kitchen. And somebody comes in, they say your name, Jamie. And you don't register, say it again, Jamie. And they get louder and louder. In the end, it's almost like you've been woken up, but you're already awake. And this is your conscious mind that's been woken up. So when I say these things, you realize, wow, I've actually been hypnotized before. The only difference is when you do it through a hypnotherapy recording or a hypnotherapist like myself, it's controlled. So there's a reason for it. There's a use for it. So when you're in that state, your subconscious mind is not being guarded by your conscious mind. So normally, let's say somebody's scared of aeroplanes. You could sit there and talk to somebody all day about how safe aeroplanes are, but the conscious mind will not allow the fear in the subconscious mind to change because that's its job, to protect the subconscious mind. Now in hypnosis, the conscious mind slows down, it's asleep. So you can talk directly to the subconscious mind and you can change the fear. You can get rid of it. You can change behaviors. You can change habits. So this is obviously very, very positive. And all the positive affirmations and visualizations that go with an individual therapy are all massively beneficial for the client. So this is the amazing thing about hypnosis. The strange thing and the sad thing is a lot of people come to me as their last port of call when they've tried every other kind of therapy. And it's such a shame that it's not the first, because this is the most direct way of helping anybody. If you keep repeating to somebody that something is good when they think it's bad, then eventually it will change the way they feel, perhaps. But with hypnosis, you can just do it instantly. If you listen to a hypnotherapy audio, then you can listen to it maybe 14 days in a row and it will work for you. You know, this is the beautiful thing about hypnosis. It gets directly to your subconscious mind. It bypasses your conscious mind. It's the only kind of therapy that can possibly do this. The first myth is hypnosis is mind control. One of the most common misconceptions about hypnotherapy is that the hypnotist has complete control over the client's mind. This is not true. I'm going to give you a couple of examples because this is not true when it comes to hypnotherapy. Okay? Now I'm going to tell you the difference between hypnotherapy and stage hypnosis. Apart from obviously one's to help you, one's for fun or for educational reasons. But in a stage show, there's something called a super suggestion. And what's said is, from this moment at the beginning, once everybody's hypnotized, the super suggestion is then spoken. And you say, from this moment onwards, everything I say, you will think is true. Every time I tell you to sleep, you will go back into this wonderful trance state immediately and even deeper than last time. So you give this super suggestion, and then at the end of the stage show, you take the super suggestion back. Now in a hypnotherapy session, you don't do this. You don't need the person to move. You don't need the client to open their eyes. They don't need to do anything. All they need to do is listen. So you don't need control over them. But I have to be honest, the people on the stage in an educational show on the stage, whatever the purpose of the show is, they are under the control of the hypnotist, okay? And I know this for a fact because I've done so much of this. But these are the big difference. In a show, you do lose control. In a hypnotherapy session, you do not. And those are the differences. So that's the myth when it comes to hypnotherapy. The next myth is that hypnosis is sleep. It's another common misconception, is that hypnosis is a form of sleep. While clients, of course, may feel deeply relaxed during hypnosis, they're actually in a heightened state of awareness and focus. They actually couldn't be any more awake. Now, this is another thing, because I've done so many shows on the stage for different reasons, is the main reason why we tell people to close their eyes is so that nothing can distract them. But the truth is, you can have somebody sitting here right now looking exactly the same as me, with their eyes open, talking to a camera, and be completely hypnotized. Completely. The deepest state ever, but wide awake and appearing to everybody else like they're not in a hypnotic state. And you know the main reason for this is because what I said before, most of us are hypnotized 70% of the day. When you see somebody driving past in a car, the chances are that they're not really, the chances are that they're in a hypnotic state, but they don't look like a zombie. They've not got their eyes closed. They're wide awake. And this is the truth. And this is the real strange thing. But it's not sleep. But we don't do ourselves any favors by telling people to close their eyes. And obviously, when you're in a situation on a stage or you're a client, then you do feel very heavy and you are allowed to go like this, and it's fine. But if you weren't allowed to do this, if you were driving, then I would never get you to do that, if that had to be the circumstances. So it's definitely not sleep. Number 3, hypnosis will make you give up your deepest, darkest secrets. No, it will not. It will not. If you were to say to me that you would like to find your deepest, darkest secrets, then we could do it. But if you didn't say that, then we wouldn't. This is what a lot of people are worried about, because everybody's got secrets. Everyone's got things they don't really want to admit, of course. But in hypnosis, this does not happen. In a hypnosis session, it's very unlikely that you would be even asked to speak. Very unlikely. In a stage show, that's something completely different. But in a hypnotherapy situation, very unlikely you'd be asked to speak. Perhaps there's certain techniques where we might get you to say yes. If you've finished a certain visualization, if I was to tell you to go back in time and visualize the time you were in school doing A to B, whatever you were doing. And then I said, I want you to let me know once you've finished that visualization, so I know when we can carry on with the therapy. Then you might say yes, but apart from that, you're not speaking. It's me that's speaking. So you don't give up your deepest, darkest secrets. Number 4, hypnosis is not a quick fix. 100% hypnosis is probably the quickest fix you could ever have. Hypnotherapists will tell you that it's not, because they want to give you lots of sessions, but the truth is the hypnotherapy is absolutely direct. And I mean, I have a ridiculous amount of clients that will tell you it's an instant change. You may do a couple of sessions to strengthen the first session. You may even do 4 because there's a few other extra things that need doing along the way. That's fine. But in general, it's an instant change. Just like it's an instant change when you're in a bad mood, but then you see somebody that you love and you're happy instantly. You know, it's not like you're going to be happy in a moment. We need to build it up. No, you go from one to the other. You're scared of something, you're not scared of something. You're not scared of something, you're scared of something. It happens instantly, and we can do this with hypnosis as well. Next one is that you might get stuck in hypnosis. You will not get stuck in hypnosis, because the only thing that's happened is your conscious mind has slowed down and stopped, and your subconscious mind is wide awake, and that's it. So if I was to speak to a client and then I was to stop speaking for whatever reason, then the conscious mind would get bored. Maybe it'd take a few minutes, maybe it'd take 10 minutes, 20 minutes, maybe 1 minute, 2 minutes, everybody's different. And then it would come back awake. The person would open their eyes, and that would be it. Very, very simple, but people think you can get stuck in this trance state. And I think this is perhaps because of movies, but no, it's not true. So yeah, there you go. You cannot get stuck in hypnosis. So that's 5 misconceptions. I've just thought of another one, so I'm going to add it in, and that is that you will not remember anything after you've been hypnotized. Well, This is true and it's also false, depending on the person. I've had many clients that say they can't remember. I've had most clients say they can remember. Some remember some bits, some remember other bits, some remember all of it. But the main bits, the most poignant bits of the therapy that people tend to remember. But this is something to bear in mind. At the end of the therapy, I can make it so that you do remember everything. And there's no need to not remember everything. In the therapies that I do, they're very positive. Even if the person comes to see me for something very negative, when I used to do clients, there would be nothing negative mentioned in a hypnotherapy. It's all positive. It's a feel-good factor. By the end of it, they're going to feel brand new. So that's the truth. Maybe they remember, maybe not, but at the end of it, I can make you remember everything. Hypnotherapy changed my life, and it can change yours too, perhaps. People all over the world are using my hypnotherapy audios to be the best version of themselves. For more information, simply click that link below, and from all of us here at New Mindset Hypnotherapy, we hope you have a fantastic day, and thank you so much for watching.